Hey friends, welcome to the Kidsman Collective podcast. I'm your host, Lauren Ralston, and today's episode is called You Need a Security Team, Here's Why, and How to Start One. Security is not just about having a guy with a radio in the sanctuary. It's actually about having somebody who knows your kid ministry procedures and is ready to protect you and your space. So this episode is going to outline the why and the how of building security coverage that actually supports your team and your kids' bin. So I just want to create this quick visual for you. Hypothetically, you are one kidsman director, you have 100 kids in your ministry, you have 15 adult teachers, and you end up in an emergency situation. Who's managing the chaos? Probably the answer right now, and I've been here and I totally get it, is, oh no, that would be me. I've got to manage all 100 kids. I got to make sure all 15 teachers are where they're supposed to be and make sure everybody's safe. If we're evacuating a building, I got to make sure the building's clear. If we're sheltering in place, I got to make sure everybody's in their correct place. Nobody missed the memo. You cannot be responsible for managing all of that chaos. There's going to be a lot of stuff happening in an emergency situation or a security or safety situation. So, what does it look like to put a dedicated security team in place for your kids' ministry area? I think that this is a crucial part of your ministry and often an overlooked part of that. So a lot of times people don't think about actually putting a security team in place. So how do you do that? What is that going to look like? Let's talk through all of it. So if we start with the foundation, what does a good security team do? A good security team is going to know your emergency procedures for fire, for intruder, for shelter in place, bomb. So whether you're evacuating, sheltering, whatever that looks like, tornadoes, whatever. You are going to need a security team that knows your specific procedures. Why is this important? For an intruder or an active shooter that comes into a building, the protocol for adults is to evacuate the building and to flee from the scene because adults can run and get away. It is not always in the best interest of a young child to have them evacuate. If you are trying to move 3-year-olds who walk extremely slow from the building, they are going to be too slow to evacuate in a way that they need to evacuate. So often the protocol, which you need to work this out with your own security team, you can call a fire department, you can call a police department to walk through this specifically for your location. But often the protocol for children is not to move them from the space. It is actually to shelter in place in a safe, secure room that is blockaded so that an intruder could not get in. So if a security team member is just a general security team member and they say, oop, I know that the procedure is to evacuate the building, they do not understand that children are not evacuating the building and they don't know that children are in the building. So with that, you need somebody who knows your procedures, who know, okay, I've got this many kids likely in this many classrooms barricaded in these specific places, and we need to make sure that they're okay. We need to make sure they've been taken care of, and to know how to support you as the kidsman director or leader over that so that you are not managing that all on your own. And for safety purposes, they know what to expect when an emergency situation happens, and they can help you guide and direct your leaders as those things come up. So you need somebody who knows your procedures. You need somebody who is going to act fast and help you lead and care for the children. The number one thing we have to do is to make sure that children are safe and we get them safely to an evacuation or a shelter in place location. That is the number one. So you've got to equip your teachers to be able to do that. And we need to have security teams who can come in and support that. Another piece of that is that they're going to help with the parent pickup. When and if an emergency happens, parents are going to go crazy. Their children are going to be all over campus in places that they're not typically located. Parents panic because they want to make sure their kid's okay. They're trying to pick up kids. Teachers are trying to evacuate kids. So you need security who can help manage that piece of chaos as it arises to make that as easy as possible for parents to come in and pick up their kids, but for teachers to get the kids to where they need to be. So, somebody on this security team is going to understand that kidsmen protocols are actually different than adult ones, and just specifically what those evacuation and or shelter in place protocols are. So that is the foundation of what makes a good security team and what they do. Why can't you do it all? If it's not already obvious to you, you cannot be in all of those places at one time in general, but also security related situations or emergency situations are never quiet and peaceful. They are always chaotic. So you are going to be, as a Kidsman director, it's going to be chaos for you. It's going to be out of the ordinary for your teachers and your leaders. And so it's going to be chaotic for them. Some people are going to get confused. They're going to panic. They don't do well under pressure. And so you can't manage all of that on your own. You are the director, and you can't be in one hallway looking out for certain classrooms and in another area making sure that kids got into a lockdown location. Like, you can't physically be in those places at once. And you're going to have at some point your safety in mind, and you have to be able to do what you need to do for your own safety as well. So how do you do all of those things? So you can't do all of them. You need advocates that are going to be in place who are going to know in and out your procedures, and they're going to help you, support you in those, and they're going to help you implement them. So those are just a couple of examples of some things that you might see as you're trying to put in these systems and put into place a team to consider, right? So if you haven't thought through procedures for those things, that's going to be really important that you do think through those, and that then you have a very explicit conversation with whoever's going to be on your security team. So more on that in a minute. But if you do not have a security team, don't panic. It's okay. If your church doesn't have a security team, don't panic. It's okay. We are going to talk through how you can build a team and or how you can strengthen one. First and foremost, I would work with your church leadership team. This is going to be really helpful to have buy-in from the leadership. First of all, they need to be aware if you don't have a leadership team at all. If you don't have a security team at all at the church, your church leadership is going to need to know that you are putting a security team in place, and you need to advocate for your ministry why this is such an important role. I would highly recommend that you go to your government websites for your state and see what resources are available from the state for helping with security protocols. You would be surprised at what the government gives, or your state government will give you for your church specifically. They have nonprofit religious organizations who can receive support from the state at no cost on analyzing areas that are of concern from the time you walk in the parking lot to the time that safety of a building. They are able to do some reporting for that, some states at least. So check that out. That is a highly valuable resource that I recently learned about. And I was like, my mind is blown. I had no idea that this was even a thing. And so check those things out. Work with your church leadership, see what support you can have from your local state, and advocate with your church leadership and for your ministry a specific security team. You are going to want to communicate the importance of this, basically the things we've just talked about, why it's important to have a kids ministry security team in place, and then you are going to need that to train them on a few specific things. So, first of all, they need to know building layout. They need to know kind of the overall flows of what happens in a typical morning. What are, if you have multiple services, what are kind of the chaotic points? What are the points of time where pretty much there shouldn't be any traffic in and out of buildings? Things should be quieter so they could spot this person seems a little bit out of place. Like teaching them what those typical rhythms are so that they can be aware of discrepancy in those rhythms or those typical routines of what you see, right? And the layout. So where are there concerns for a stairwell or a corner or someplace that might go unknown or unnoticed? They need to know those specific layouts. They need to know emergency exits. They need to know shelter in place locations. They need to know how they get out in the event of a fire. They need to know what the specific location is that they need to be at for a fire. Again, if you don't know these things, that is where you work with the fire department or the fire marshal, and they will help you map those things out. Legally, every building should have that, so you should be figuring that out if you don't know it anyways. So, training this team on your building layout, all emergency protocols and procedures, and how those are specific to children versus how they relate to adults. They might not be the same, making sure that they understand that. If you've worked or if you are going to work with some legal departments like the police department, the fire department, the sheriff's department, anybody like that, to put these procedures in place, which I highly recommend. If you're going to train a security team, I would also invite them to be part of that. Especially if they are security minded, if they work security jobs, if they, just have a passion for that. I know we have a good friend of ours he's a police officer and he's passionate about church security. He wants to help churches equip them to be safer and to create safe space in their ministry for ministry in general for adults, but also for kids. And so find those people and have them partner with you to create the systems that make sense. Obviously, take into consideration who you're asking. Do not ask a large population of people. It should be key people that are going to be security team. Then you are also going to need to train this security team on who to communicate with in emergencies, how you're communicating with each other, who's calling the shots, who's responsible for what parts of the process. Like you guys are going to need to work out those details. Again, this needs to be specific to your building, to your ministry, to the people that you have in your ministry, to the layout of your building, to the security team that you have in place. Like you guys need to work through all of this stuff. This is why it's super important to bring in your church leadership team. So this is a very, very high level, skim the surface of why it's important to have a security team, why you would need one, why you should want one, and quickly how to build one. And so these are heavy topics. I know that, and I know that this is hard. And again, I've said this before in other hard conversations like this. This is not meant to scare you or to make you feel shame for not having this type of protocol or procedure or security team in place. It's okay. You are here now and you are interested in figuring out what it looks like to do that. I would love to come alongside you and help equip you to create procedures and protocols and teams that are going to keep your kids and your church and your ministry and you safe. And so if that is something that you are interested in, please book a call with me. I have a link to my call. It's a free 30-minute consulting call, no charge to you. There's a link in this podcast description, and there's a link on the homepage of my website, ozarkministryconsulting.com. I would love to talk through this with you, help you come up with a system and a kind of a process for what you need to do in order to get these procedures in place. So, remember that what you are doing is so amazing and so powerful, and stewarding the safety of the kids in your ministry is one part of that. And so you don't have to do that alone. So how do we equip people to come alongside you and to support you and to help you through that process? So I hope you have a great week. I would love to talk to you. So please reach out if you have any questions, if there's anything I can do to support you or to help you as you're processing through a security team, what that looks like for you and your church context. Have a great week, and I hope to talk to you soon. Thanks for joining me today on the Kidsmen Collective podcast, where we're all about nurturing leaders and impacting generations. Before you go, I want to invite you to take the next step in growing your ministry with confidence. I've created a free Kidsmen Leader Assessment designed just for leaders like you. It walks you through the 5 key areas: purpose, people, programming, physical space, and procedures, helping you celebrate what's going well and uncover where there's room to grow. Whether you're a brand new leader or you've been leading for years, this tool will give you a clear picture of where your ministry stands and where it could go with a little strategy and support. Head over to ozarkministryconsulting.com to get started. You'll find the assessment right on the homepage, quick, simple, and packed with insight. And if this episode encouraged you, share it with a fellow leader or leave a review. We're better when we grow together. Until next time, keep leading well, keep loving big, and remember, your ministry matters.